Thanks everyone for attending the 124th edition of OpenCoffee Meetup. It's interesting because this is the first virtual one, and this meetup was started in 2008 with a goal to connect the local tech community. We have around 1,000 of members here in Split, and I'm really happy to see that people globally said that they will attend this meetup. I've seen some of your friends in Netherlands, Jan, as you said, your mother will attend.
Let me just wave to my mother.
Yeah, so that's great. And another interesting thing is that this meetup was started a year after you moved to Croatia.
Yes.
So yeah, that's. I remember when I met you in the high school. I was still in the high school when I was working as a freelancer for the M+ group. Yeah.
For Net Media, right? Yeah.
For Net Media, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. In the meantime, Jan started a couple of ventures here in Croatia, and today we will hear more information why he believes that Croatia is a land of entrepreneurial opportunities. So Jan, please take over the stage. I will turn my video off. And also, guys, please ask questions during the talk on Facebook stream or Zoom chat, and I will ask Jan after the formal talk.
Sounds good. Tony, first of all, thank you so much for hosting me on this first virtual Open Coffee. You were just mentioning that this is the 124th edition. Basically, when you started with Open Coffee and when I came to Croatia, we were still pretty much babies. I mean, we were like 22 something years old, and it's been a phenomenal ride for both you and for me in the past 13 years. You asked me basically if I wanted to come on the show already a couple of months ago, but then this whole Corona situation came over us. So now we had to improvise a little bit, and we are doing this virtually. The idea was for me to take you down the memory lane on how I actually ended up in Croatia. As everybody knows, there's a lot of Croats that have left Croatia over the past decade. So whenever I tell them that I'm actually from the Netherlands and that I came to Croatia, I often get a lot of questions. So as Tony said, even though this is virtually and there's going to be less interaction in this way, I'm not going to be watching on the clock. Tony told me I have 30 minutes, but I would really love to get down to answering some of the questions that you might have. I want to start with taking you back about 18 years ago when I was 17 years old. It was at that moment when I actually made a decision that would ultimately change the course of my life completely, because that led me eventually to come to Croatia. At that time, I was working some part-time job, making some money as a student by selling flowers on the market. And one day I got a phone call from a very dear friend of mine, and he just started working a new job in a contact center. And he called me up and he goes like, "Hey, you can really make great money by working in a call center. I think it's something for you. Would you be willing to consider that?" And I answered to him, "Well, I have no experience in this area, but I would love to give it a try." So he gave me the phone number of the call center manager at that time. His name was Eric. And one day I called him up, and the first impression that I got was this amazing radio voice that this man had. And I could kind of like visualize how this man would look like, a tall, handsome man in a beautiful suit with a tie. And he invited me to come over for a job interview. Well, his voice was quite deceiving because he didn't look anything like I imagined myself. And the same day I was hired, and in the same evening I started my first call center work as a call agent, selling products and services over the phone. And very soon I actually fell in love with this industry of contact centers. I don't know if anybody of you from the people that are watching here today, if you have seen the movie The Boiler Room with Vin Diesel and Ben Affleck. But what Eric was trying to reproduce in our contact center was exactly what was happening in the boiler room, a very competitive atmosphere where it was all about hitting targets and overachieving targets. And basically, if you would not achieve those targets, they would maybe give you a week, max 2 weeks, and after that you were fired. So one of the people that actually got laid off very soon after I came to join M+ Group contact center in the Netherlands was my dear friend that actually invited me to come and work for this company. And as the days and the weeks are passing, I was performing very good and always overachieving my sales target. But what I really disliked about this entire situation is that for me it was very difficult to make new friends, because every week, every 2 weeks, people would be replaced because they didn't hit their sales targets. So what I started doing is I started writing down for myself call scripts that I used word by word to sell those products and services. And I started sharing that with my fellow call agents, because I really wanted them to also hit their sales targets and to stay a little longer working together with me as my colleagues than just 1 or 2 weeks. And over time, actually, I had a career that developed quite rapidly in that contact center. By the time that I was 18, I was a supervisor. By the time that I was 19, I was pretty much in charge of all the telesales projects at that contact center, managing approximately 150 people at that time. And all of this I was still doing while I was in university studying marketing. And by the time that I was 21 years old, I was about to start the final year of university. I had to do my final thesis, so like the diplomski raad. And I always wanted to do this abroad. When I was a lot younger, I always wanted to go to the United States. But later on, when I started to understand that country a little bit more, I actually started disliking that idea more and more. And the founder of M+ Group, his name is Mato Božić, obviously Croatian. I approached him with the idea that since I had to do my final thesis and that I could basically go away from university for 1 year and move abroad, I approached him with the idea of going to Croatia to expand M+ Group contact center. That would be then the topic of the thesis. And they liked the idea, so I wrote a little bit of a plan, presented the plan, and then they approved it. On the 3rd of September 2006, I got in my car and I drove down to Split, where Mato already had a small software development company. Actually, that's the company where Tony used to work as a student. It's called Net Media. And I sat down there, I got a desk, I brought my laptop with me, and I got a phone. And that's when I had to start writing my final thesis and basically get started with the company. But you need to know that until then, I was never in Croatia before. I never investigated anything about Croatia. I pretty much didn't even know where the country was. I didn't know anybody living in Croatia. And then you have to investigate and see if you can start a business. So what I did in the first place is I kind of knew, of course, which companies I would wanted to work for as a contact center, which was primarily the telecom industry, because we had a lot of experience working with telcos in the Netherlands, and the energy industry at that moment. Very soon I realized that the energy market was not privatized in Croatia yet, so you had only HEP providing energy, and all the other providers, they were not there yet. So I started focusing all of my efforts in the first place on telcos. I investigated by using Google who are the sales and marketing directors of those telcos. And I would literally just pick up the phone, contact them, ask them for a meeting. Since I was based in Split, I soon came to realize that pretty much all the headquarters were based in Zagreb. And I had to start driving 400 kilometers to meet with those people in person. A little bit fast forward, a year later, I went back to university to defend my final thesis. I graduated, and by that time we had already 2 clients. One of them was Metronet, and the other one was BNet. Nowadays, both part of A1 Telecom. You can hear the coffee machine on the background, I believe, cleaning up. And so after 1 year, we had the first 35 employees based in Split. We had 2 clients, and I graduated. And then Mato and we went for a lunch, and we discussed what are we going to continue doing now. I became a business partner in M+ Group for the Croatian market. I got 50% of the shares on the condition that I would go back to Croatia to further develop the business. Around 2010, we started expanding also the contact center business by branching out into another industry, which is digital marketing. We started a digital marketing agency under the name M+ Agency. About a year ago, by the way, we did a rebranding of that company. Nowadays, it's called United Agency. And over the years, by expanding our service portfolio and client portfolio, we really grew into a big company. And my big breakthrough, I would say, was around the year 2013, 2014, when we signed a very big contract for Hrvatski Telekom, Croatian Telecom, where we signed a 5-year deal for handling literally millions of inbound calls in our contact center, 24/7, 365. On top of all that, we also signed our first energy client, because that was the moment when the energy market was privatized. So we signed RWE, Energia as a client. Nowadays, they're known under the brand Aon. And all of a sudden, this company just grew as a mushroom after rain. Then by 2016, I got an offer to sell my shares of the company. At that time, we had a little bit more than 400 people employed in our Zagreb office, and I decided to accept that offer. Basically for several reasons. First of all, I mean, I come from a very entrepreneurial family, and one of my dad's uncles, he told me once that if you own your own business, then along the way it's very difficult to make a lot of money while you're owning the business, because very often you will see that you will have to reinvest those profits into further growth, and it's of course important that you have good and healthy cash flow. So it's difficult in the beginning to take money out. The moment when you can really start taking a lot of money out is basically if you have or build a lot of reserves and you're still continuing to make huge profits, then you can start taking money out, or by selling your company. And when you get an offer to sell your company, if that's a bad offer, you will know that immediately. You will feel in your bones that this is just below what it should be. If it's an offer that you think by yourself, you know, it's not so bad, it could of course be better, that's the moment where he advised me to take the offer, because you don't very often get second chances for these kind of offers, and it is very nice that in a way you can secure something that you have built in a period of 9 or 10 years. So at that moment I was free, independent, self-made, and honestly I was very scared at that moment. Since I was 17 years old, I was working in contact centers. I was 31 years old when I sold my shares. So I've been doing this business for like 14 years. And for a moment, I thought that this was pretty much the only thing that I knew, you know, to start a call center, to build a call center, to turn it into something really very good and very big. But what was I going to do after this exit? And the thought of that scared me a lot. Also knowing that I had signed a non-compete for a period of 3 years. So basically the thing that I knew that I was very good at, I was not allowed or able to do that for the upcoming 3 years. I sold my shares in December 2015, and in January 2016, I already started getting a lot of energy and I started getting a lot of new ideas of things that I wanted to do. And that's when the idea came up of starting another company. At that moment, we still had our marketing agency, United, but this was being run by good management and my co-founder, Boris Turkic. And I didn't feel that I wanted to interfere in that business too much. Since I was always focused on the contact center business, I never considered myself to be an expert in digital marketing. So I wanted to leave that for what it was and to let that run by the people that were running it all this time. And I wanted to use this opportunity to start something really from scratch again, because I really love this whole startup scene. And I wanted to start something where I could again be a first mover. Back in 2006, when we opened up the contact center, we were among the first professional call centers in Croatia. And being a first mover is really phenomenal. On one hand, of course, it's very difficult because you're not only starting a business and you're not only developing your business, but along the way, you also will need to educate the market about your services. But once that industry then starts to mature, and you are there first, and you already have your first big references, and you are already having some significance in terms of size and experience, then when that market matures, then you can take a very strong market leading position. So I was looking again into something that I could start where I would be the first, or in an industry where I had very small number of local competitors. I wanted to do something, of course, connected to marketing, because that's the thing that I love to do. Something that is very big in other markets like Western Europe, in the Netherlands as well. And that's what led me to the idea of starting a company that is specialized in email marketing and marketing automation. So in the Netherlands, you have at least 6, 7, maybe even 10 companies that have developed their own software as a service to enable their clients to send out newsletters and to do email marketing and marketing automation. And here in Croatia, or actually in the entire region, most companies that want to send newsletters, for them by default, the choice is just to open up a MailChimp account, use their credit card and start sending newsletters. And to my knowledge, at that moment, there was nobody locally present in Croatia that could not just provide a software for software as a service for helping companies with email marketing, but really a company that is specialized in this channel. You have a lot of digital marketing agencies that can help you open up your MailChimp account, and it can start helping you with executing those email marketing campaigns. But they're not specialized in email marketing. They also have performance marketing, they do design, they do content creation, etc., etc. I wanted to be the first one in Croatia, a specialized email marketing agency. No Google, no Facebook, no any of that, just the channel email marketing, and to do that part very well and to turn that into something really very big. And yeah, we started that in 2016, and things are, I mean, in the beginning, of course, was very difficult, again, just like in every business, to get the wheel spinning. But now it's we are at full speed. Currently, we are servicing some more than 60 clients in this area, but among these clients, we have mostly really big companies, including Croatia Airlines, Air Serbia, Croatian Telecom, Maestral Hospitality Group, companies like Lesnina, Mana, shopping centers, banks like Sberbank, Gravo Osiguranje, basically top companies in their respective industry. If they take email marketing as a channel seriously, then for them, most often, MailChimp is not sufficient anymore, and they want to upgrade to a better system where they can also count on a local team that can support them in all of this. You know, altogether, if you look at my road since I started here in Croatia, when people look at it from the outside, they might sometimes think that I'm a very lucky guy and that things came to me in a way, but and I definitely do consider myself to be very lucky, but mostly about the fact that I feel very lucky that I started very young, that I started when I was 22 years old, that I had a lot of energy, that I was able to pull easily 80-hour working weeks for 7-8 years straight, that I never faced any illnesses or sickness, not myself, nor the people that were supporting me in building this business. But everything that that was developed over those 13 years, none of that came to me by accident. I've always been very proactive, pushing really hard. For 12 years in a row, I've been driving literally every single week to Zagreb from Split, where I spent at least 3 days, and some years it was even 5 days a week, spending in Zagreb and then coming back for the weekend to spend time with my family. I see a lot of opportunity in Croatia as a country. Very often people, they're asking me, why do you see so much opportunity in Croatia? That they don't believe that's even something that I'm saying. But if you look around, there's so many things that we in Croatia are complaining about, things that could be done better, could be done faster, certain products and services that are being very successful, or companies that are solving problems at large in Western Europe. These kind of things, very often certain things are not being done in Croatia at all yet. And what I love about being an entrepreneur in Croatia is that you actually have a chance, of course, not when you're opening up a pizza place, because there's plenty of those, but you actually have a chance that if you look closely at what is happening in Western Europe, and if you look at what kind of companies are successful over there, and if you start introducing those kind of products or services in Croatia, you have a chance to be a first mover. You have a chance to start a new industry, or to introduce a new product or a new service, and to take a market leading position in that. Now this whole Corona situation, on one hand, it's a big threat. At the same time, you see in every recession that amazing new companies that are super innovative, they come to life. The biggest companies today were founded in the recession of 2008. I was here, as I said, I came to Croatia in 2006 when I started my business. So also in the recession of 2008, I managed actually to accelerate growth of my contact center. But you need to be very innovative and creative in how you're going to approach that. And maybe one very good example of that that I did with Web Power, and this is an example of how I responded to Corona here in Croatia. So I launched a huge buy local campaign, where I'm basically asking all the companies in Croatia that are using MailChimp today to make a very conscious decision and to switch their provider. So to move their email marketing budgets from MailChimp over to Web Power, because this at the end results in employment in Croatia. And I made a pledge. I solemnly swore on a LinkedIn post a couple of weeks ago that for every 25 companies that are using MailChimp today that are switching over to Web Power, that I would hire one full-time employee in our Zagreb office. And this campaign got a lot of media attention. It got me a beautiful article on T-Portal. Total Croatian News covered it. They were the first ones, actually, Total Croatian News. Then after that, T-Portal covered it. Then it turned into a front page on Slobodna Dalmacija. Then another article in Jutarnji List. And even this week, last Monday, we got another beautiful article where this campaign was also mentioned in Večernji List. And it's just amazing if you see that when you are able to hit those media in that way, that the response from this is phenomenal. I literally got new clients, that companies that contacted us, called us up or sent us a message over LinkedIn or via email that told me, Jan, we are using MailChimp today, but we would love to support a Croatian business. So let's make this work. And so far we have about 7 or 8 new clients that have already switched from MailChimp to Web Power. And we have several dozen of proposals sent out to companies that still need to let us know about their final decision. I mean, that's in my opinion the beauty of entrepreneurship. It's for me the most beautiful job there is, And as Tony also mentioned in his LinkedIn post, I'm a strong believer that the positive change in Croatia is not going to come from politics. I think that we would be naive to think that politics are really going to make this country a lot better. I think that the only group of people that can really do that are entrepreneurs that are able to start beautiful, great, new, big companies that can start employing people and paying great salaries, and in that way to move this country forward. And actually, ever since I made my exit from M Plus Group, I'm a father of 4 people, and knowing that for children, and knowing that so many people in Croatia, they have actually left this country to find opportunities and to find happiness somewhere else abroad. I kind of turned it into my own mission to start creating opportunities here in Croatia, so that at least my children and the children of Croatia, that they don't have to move abroad to find opportunities and happiness. And I think that if we make strong efforts as entrepreneurs to do that, then we can really turn this into a country where we can have one of the best standards of living within entire Europe. My advice to anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur or start your own business, or if you're considering to do something like that, is start as early as possible. Start hopefully in your 20s if you still can, because it's I mean, I don't want to sound like an old guy. I'm 35 years old, but I definitely can say that 10 years ago I had a lot more energy than I have today. Start trying to feel comfortable with being uncomfortable. Being an entrepreneur is very often with a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of uncertainty and all that. Nobody guarantees me anything, but you need to start being okay with feeling uncomfortable. Whatever you do, try to find something that you are really very passionate about, because I don't think that you would be able to work as hard as I did, for example, 80 hours a week or even more sometimes, if you do something that you are not fully passionate about. Especially when you're beginning as an entrepreneur, or if you are in your 20s and 30s and you're just starting your own businesses. My advice would be not to diversify too much. I mean, we are not all Richard Bransons that can successfully operate 400 companies. And I really believe that if you want to do something good, that you should focus on one and the same thing for as long as possible. Don't focus only on profits. Focus on building value in your company. The first time that I was able actually to take a profit out of my business was 8 years after I founded it. All these years, we have always reinvested our profits in turning this company into something bigger, hiring really great management. That's always the first thing that I do as soon as I can afford it, to hire really great management that can help me to further develop the business. And profits will come, but you need to make sure that your foundation of your company is right, and that you surround yourself with the right people to move this company forward and to really build value in your business. If I look at myself, what would be probably one of my biggest strengths, I would say it's the fact that I'm very disciplined. You don't start your own business so that you can work whenever you want, from wherever you want. Basically, the way I see it is that if you start your own business, you're working all the time everywhere. And you need to have discipline for that. And I think that my discipline was one of the reasons why I was able to build really big companies. In one speech that I once saw, somebody mentioned that there's 2 types of pain. There's pain of discipline, or there's pain of regret. And I've chosen for myself to have pain of discipline. I'm living the Croatian dream. I use it as my hashtag in all of my LinkedIn posts, and of course I invite you to follow me on LinkedIn or to connect with me over LinkedIn. if you want to stay up to date with what I look at in Croatia, our opportunities and the way I develop my businesses. And I think that we are now talking for like 25 minutes or something, or I'm speaking for 25 minutes. So if there are any questions, maybe this is a good time to get to that section. Tony, what do you think?
Oh, yes, thanks, Jan, for sharing your story. We have a couple of questions. Guys, please write your questions on Facebook live stream or directly in the Zoom. First question is, just a second. Marian asked, is there a niche within email marketing?
A niche within email marketing? I think that email marketing by itself is already a niche. It's a niche in the digital marketing space. But it's actually a very big niche. What kind of a niche would there be in email marketing? For example, there are companies in the Netherlands that are focused on email marketing, but they're only focusing on actually the services around email marketing. So they don't deliver software. They're able to help companies with creating content, executing campaigns, developing complete email marketing strategies, basically kind of like an extension to their marketing departments, but then focused only on email marketing. And they work in a way that, whether you're using MailChimp or WebPower or you're using Campaign Monitor, doesn't matter. Give us your credentials, give us your username and password, and then we will do the email marketing for you. That's, I would say, perhaps a niche within email marketing. And those companies are very successful in the Netherlands.
Thanks, Jan. Another question is from Michaela. She asked, what books do you recommend and what inspires you?
Which books?
Yeah.
Ooh, now I have to admit, I'm not a reader at all. I read, I pretty much don't read any books. Actually, I ordered a book not too long ago, which is a book written by a woman that, and I still have to start that book, but I'm very interested because in my office we have a lot of women working, and what she basically writes about is not to force women to adjust themselves to the working environment, but actually to adjust the working environment to also be suitable for women. Because, I mean, let's face it, but it's still in many industries, it's a man's world, and gender equality and equality in general, for me is very important. And I want to create an environment where not only women, but everybody that works for me is feeling very comfortable.
Thanks, Jan. Another question from Andrzej Zinkevich. Andrzej recently moved from Poland to Split. He's your neighbor. I'm sure you'll meet him soon since things with Corona calmed down. So yeah. He asked, what are your key acquisition channels and what's your product edge? What makes it unique from hundreds of email marketing software? Okay. My key acquisition channel, I would say at this point, it's definitely LinkedIn. I get so much traction on LinkedIn and people are reaching out, and I'm also looking for companies that I would want to target on LinkedIn, individuals that I would want to target on LinkedIn. And I'm very proactive still on the phone. My phone has always been my weapon. I find companies that I want to work for, and I simply call them up, cold calling, or sending a cold email and then scheduling a meeting or a video conference these days. And that's the way that I do most of our business development. What are our key features compared to MailChimp was the next question, right? Exactly. Yeah. The fact that we are locally present here and that we have email marketing experts that can really help companies to improve their return of investment on the channel email marketing. We have much better deliverability of the newsletters. We deliver more than 99% correctly in the inbox of the subscribers. MailChimp doesn't go further than 87%. We are fully GDPR compliant. We are also ISO certified 27001. And then aside from that, we have a couple of really nice features that a lot of companies like to enjoy.
And this all together for very competitive pricing. Actually, of course, MailChimp offers a free package. We don't offer a free package, but as soon as your databases start growing, and I'm talking especially if your databases are, let's say, either 25,000 or 50,000 unique contacts big, that's the moment when we actually start competing in terms of pricing with MailChimp, where we are better than MailChimp in terms of pricing. So altogether, I would say we make strong efforts to create a perfect proposition for this region.
Cool, thanks, Lang. I really like that one. My phone has always been my weapon.
Yeah,
that's a great one.
I grew up in a call center. We were selling all kinds of products and services over the phone. So why would I not be able to do that for myself, to sell either my company or our products and services over the phone?
Cool.
I'm a call center boy. Can't help myself.
We have another question from Silvio. He asked, are you just trying to keep MailChimp out of Croatia, or do you also consider to go into markets outside Croatia and hit MailChimp in those markets?
My goal is to turn Croatia into the first MailChimp free country. Yeah, no, I mean, jokes aside, but MailChimp is our main competitor here. And I think that we really do have a better proposition than what they offer at this moment, unless you are very small. If you have like 1,000 or 2,000 email addresses and you can use the free services of MailChimp, then just continue doing that. But for companies that want more out of their email marketing, I think that we have much more to offer than MailChimp has. In terms of expansion, like on our footprint geographically, we are currently exclusive distributors for this entire region. So Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, Macedonia, plus Hungary and Montenegro. But for now, I do not intend to expand any further because I still think that there's a lot of work to be done in these markets where we are operating, and it's our goal to grow our business to more than 500 clients in the upcoming years. Right now, we are on 64. So enough work to do here.
We have another question. Interesting blogs, profiles, and marketers to follow, Mia is asking.
I like personally Gary V a lot. I mean, he's of course a little bit bold, and his approach is that's how he is. Perhaps not my style, but I think it's always important to keep your own style in everything that you do. But I find a lot of interesting content in what he does. One thing that he mentioned also quite some time ago was that every company, first of all, is a content company. And after that, that's when you start actually with your core business. But it's all about content marketing. And again, my LinkedIn is a very good example of that, where literally one LinkedIn post turned into a front page article on Slobodan Dalmatia. And this is all free publicity. And it all results in me getting clients out of that. So content. Content
is the new oil.
Yeah.
We have a question from Paula. Greetings from Amsterdam. Hello, Paula.
Hello, Amsterdam.
Paula is interested in your opinion about the opportunities in Split for expats. Is there a market for English-speaking people? That's the first part of the question, so you can answer it, and then I'll read another part.
Yeah. Actually, I also hit the media and my LinkedIn with one post that speaks about digital nomads. This post has gone completely viral with more than 200,000 views and more than 4,500 likes by now, where basically what I'm saying is that if you are a digital nomad, I mean, more and more companies now also, because of Corona, they are starting to be open for the idea of people working from home or working from another country even. And basically what I did is I invited everybody from Western Europe to come and live in Croatia and to start working from Croatia if you can take your job with you. I think the fact that more than 500,000 people or some 500,000 people have left Croatia in the past 10, 15 years, yeah, of course, it's for many reasons, but it's mostly economic. Yeah, we don't like the politics over here. We don't like many things that are happening over here. But if everybody would be making 2,000 or 3,000 euros a month living in this country, I don't think that we would have seen 500,000 people leave this beautiful country. So I think that there's actually not a lot of great job opportunity in Croatia itself, perhaps even less so in Split. But if you have a good job and you are, for example, you're living in Amsterdam right now and you're a software developer, and you would be able to work remotely to do that kind of job with your Dutch salary from Split, welcome and join me with living the Croatian dream.
Thanks, Jan. Another part of Paula's question was how to reach and get the clients from abroad if they're like yourself, maybe they don't know much about Croatia, and they're hesitant to start working with a company from a place so remote for them.
No, I don't think that Croatia is very remote. I mean, Zagreb, Amsterdam is a 2-hour flight. And nowadays it's in the same time zone, and nowadays everything being possible to do it through Zoom, virtual meetings, and hopefully very soon we are able to hop on a plane again. I think that Croatia just has a set of challenges in that regards if you want to export your services, because we are not considered, I mean, we have very good quality here, but we are not considered to be at the very highest in terms of quality, but we are also not considered to be the cheapest. So we are competing with, for example, Belarusia or White Russia or Ukraine in terms of pricing. We are stuck in the middle. And I think that being stuck in the middle is the worst strategy that you can ever be. So you either need to be delivering a good product, but at really a low price, or you can charge a lot of money, but then you really need to be the best in what you do. And being stuck in the middle over there, you're fighting competition on both ends, and that's very difficult.
Cool. Before I read you other questions, I have a question for you, Jan. So what are the key cultural differences between Netherlands and Croatia? Was it hard for you to adjust, to Croatian culture when you first came in 2007?
Actually, it's very interesting. Maybe for the people that don't know, but my wife, Jan de Jong, she has her own YouTube channel. And actually, a couple of days ago, we uploaded a video where we are explaining like 12 differences in terms of between the Netherlands and Croatia. Cool. So I invite everybody to go on YouTube and look up that video. But I mean, what are the main cultural differences? I mean, first of all, the Netherlands is a multicultural country. I mean, there's like 100 different cultures in the Netherlands itself. You have literally people from all over the world living in the Netherlands. So try to define what is the Dutch culture. In Amsterdam alone, I think Amsterdam is the city with the highest number of different nationalities living in one city worldwide. So very good. Very good.
Amsterdam.
Yes. In Croatia at the same time, there's very few foreigners living here. So we are only dealing with our own kind, if you want to call it that way. The Netherlands, Dutch people, I would say, are very direct. Very often when we have meetings, we all know what is the intention. We need to make a transaction. We need to come to a certain conclusion, and we're not going around the bush too much. We are not really wasting each other's time. Well, here in Croatia, I mean, I literally made my biggest deals in a coffee bar. I agreed upon multi-million kuna deals for contact center over coffee. In a coffee bar, not in an official office with people involved and having a real structured meeting. And
it's more laid back.
More relaxed, I would say. And then I have to admit also that in even though it did improve, but Dutch people are more punctual than Croatian people in general. So we tend to show up late in Croatia on meetings, on whatever, on birthday parties. In the Netherlands, at least also if I look at myself, I'm always on time on whatever meeting I have. Yeah.
Cool, thanks, Jan. Eddie is asking, how do you handle stress of entrepreneurship? Any tips for newbies in general?
How to handle stress? I mean, first of all, for me nowadays, having a family is a huge distraction, of course. I mean, when I have a crazy day at work or in the office or from the home office, the moment that you basically step back into the living room and you have 4 kids jumping around you, that's a moment where you're really able to let go of most of the stress that comes from work. But yeah, I mean, it is very difficult, you know, subconsciously, you're always having stress. You go to bed thinking about work, you wake up thinking about your business. You know, it's part of the lifestyle of being an entrepreneur. Your working day never starts or ends. It's, for me at least, it's a way of living. It's a lifestyle that involves work everywhere all the time. But at the same time, it's also very relaxing. You know, you get to see a lot of nice and interesting things. You get to meet a lot of nice and interesting people. And definitely one thing that I can recommend if you are a newbie in entrepreneurship, and if you have difficulties dealing with stress, I would surround yourself with people that you see are in a way an example to you. Surround yourself with very good mentors. Everything that are all the challenges that you are facing, somebody else already once faced it, perhaps in a different industry. But for you to surround yourself with other entrepreneurs, and I've done that all my life, and to openly talk with some other entrepreneurs about the challenges that you are facing, and to just hear from them, how have they dealt with that in the past, or maybe from them, because they are on the outside, maybe they see things that you don't see, and they can open up your eyes. Being able to talk about your challenges as an entrepreneur with other entrepreneurs, I think that's a great way to relieve yourself from stress.
Thanks, Jan. So Mario is asking, what do you think about Croatian tax system, and can you give a comparison between some Western countries, between, you know, Croatia?
The Croatian which system? Tax system.
Tax system, yeah.
Taxes. I mean, taxes in the Netherlands are also high. In Croatia, they're also high. I never have a problem with paying a lot of tax. The only thing that I think is out of balance in Croatia is what you get in return for the amount of tax that you're paying. If you look at public hospitals in the Netherlands and you compare that with Croatia, then in the Netherlands, you're happy that you pay a lot of tax. You know, in Croatia, you're not happy that you pay a lot of tax. That's the biggest difference, I think. I'm okay with having progressive tax system that the more that you make, the more tax percentage-wise you pay. I think that people that make a lot of money, that they should contribute obviously more than people that make less money. I'm just very sad to see that there is not a very strong middle class in Croatia. You have some people with really a lot of money, and then you have a small group with people that are able to, let's say, live a good life, that don't have to worry every month about their paycheck, as a matter of saying. And then the majority of people living here, they have a lot of stress because of money or lack of money. And yeah, I mean, for example, the PDV, the VAT in Croatia is extremely high compared to other countries. And I think in the Netherlands it's 19%, here it's 25%. Imagine what you can do if you get 6% more buying power as a family, you know. And yeah, so my conclusion basically is it's not a problem to pay a lot of tax as long as you get something in return for that. And I think in Croatia that should definitely improve.
Thanks, Jan. So Berislav is asking, as the events in physical locations are not possible at the moment, which online events do you recommend in the coming months?
Which online events? Tonight at 6 o'clock, I will be at Business Cafe again, together with Christina Ercegovic and Paul Bradbury, where we are also talking about entrepreneurial opportunities in Croatia. I think that it's only going to be a couple of more months where we are going to have conferences solely virtually. I really hope that towards the end of the year that events are going to be like they used to be. face to face. It's much more interesting for me in that way. I mean, I was just talking for half an hour. The only face that I see is my own face. It's really odd. It's really weird. You know, I'm talking to myself in a mirror, even though at the same time I know that people are listening. If you would have done that on a stage or in an environment where you can actually have certain interaction with people, for me, that's much more interesting. And one of the events that I personally look forward to, which I think is going to be in October this year, it's going to be Leap Summit.
Yeah. Ivan is asking, what's the most important in team management?
Team management. For me, as an owner, as an entrepreneur of a business, on how I manage my team.
Yep.
Trust. You need to trust your people. You need to, in my opinion, empower them. You really need to give them responsibilities, and they need to be able to carry those responsibilities without fear, but also with the mindset that it's okay to make mistakes, because we are all human, and we will always make mistakes. But if you're gonna create a situation where people are fearful of making mistakes, then you will never be innovative.
You need to let people fail and learn from mistakes. Yeah,
exactly. And
that's how they grow. Yeah,
of course. I mean, you will never develop in any kind of way if the only thing that you are allowed to do is the stuff that you feel comfortable with, and that you're never allowed to step out of the box or to do something new. And when people do something new, mistakes will come. So you need to empower people, trust people, and show them that it's okay to fall down, and that you as an owner, or as a business owner, or as a manager, that when you see that somebody falls down, that the entire team is there to pick you right up and to continue moving forward. That's what I would say is most important in team management, to create that kind of an environment where people feel safe.
Thanks, Jan. So Nicolina is asking, Croatian companies weren't open to remote kind of work. Do you think this virus situation made that situation better, or we will need more time to adjust?
I think this is a huge step forward, if you want to call it that way. I mean, obviously, companies didn't have any other choice than to let people work from home. And let's not forget, for a lot of companies, renting an office space is a significant part of their budget. So if all of a sudden, you know, especially if you talk about companies that currently have like 200 or 300 or 400 people employed, you know, to agree with your team, with your company, that, for example, half of the people are able to work from home, there's huge savings to be made for businesses. And I think that, I mean, I've never been against working from home. We were always okay with working from home. But we also, this was a huge eye-opener for myself as well. I can literally conclude that we are more productive right now than we were when we were all in the office. But I'm not saying that there's only good things to it. I mean, for myself as an entrepreneur, as I told you, you wake up thinking about work and you go to bed thinking about work. But right now, for instance, I sometimes see emails coming from my colleagues at 9 or 10 in the evening. That was never happening when we were still working from the office. We were working from the office from 8 till 5 or from 9 to 5 or whatever. And then when you close that door of the office, that was when your working day is over. And right now what you see is that somehow people are, I think, working more hours while they're working from home. At least if I look into my own company. I think that if you are in the business right now of renting business premises, it's going to be a very interesting couple of years ahead of you. Because I think that a lot of companies are going to start moving people to work from home.
A couple of viewers are asking where to find mentors.
Mentors?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no website where you can just go to and hire a mentor. I mean, I see for myself that I very often, not even like consciously, but you're fulfilling a mentor role where people can just turn to you to ask any kind of questions. That's also why I love being part of events like this. Yeah, first 25 minutes I need to share my story. This part with the Q&A is the most interesting part for me. To hear what people have to ask and to come up with answers from my experience and to share that experience. I very often, with my colleagues altogether, we have some 30 employees. We have an office in Zagreb and we have offices in Belgrade. Whenever I meet with them, very often I go for a lunch with one of the people from the team. And that's already a place where you can be a mentor to somebody. And I think that everybody can be a mentor. There's always something that you know or experience that you have that the other person doesn't have. And I think that this is maybe a nice one. I think if you want to go find yourself a mentor, it always starts with giving yourself. If you start giving your time to other people will start giving their time to you.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. Philip is asking, which are the top 3 qualities you are looking from new employees?
Attitude, attitude, and attitude.
Very simple.
Yeah. I mean, skills you can learn. You know, you can learn anything that you want if the attitude is right. For me, it's really all about attitude. I don't necessarily look at what kind of previous experience people have or what kind of skill sets they already have. For me, the attitude is very important. I mean, let's not forget, I came to Croatia when I was 22 years old. Yeah, I knew about call center business, but I was not an entrepreneur when I came to Croatia. And the fact that I was just showing up with the right attitude at companies that I wanted to work for, that was, I think, the reason why those companies gave me the trust to let me handle very important business processes for them, which is that contact center work. So yeah, I think if with the right attitude, you can do anything.
Did you have issues with toxic employees in the past? You know, people that were ruining your culture.
Yeah, those people need to be removed. Yeah, sometimes even if they're very good at what they do, but if they are toxic and if they are, you know, I'm just allergic to negative people myself. If I see that there's too much negativity around me, then I walk away from it, or I will make sure that the negativity goes away from me. And then, you know, in that case, I'm in a good spot because I am the business owner at the end of the day, and I can decide with whom I want to work. So if you come to work every day with a face like this and being negative all day, then please don't show up.
Antonio is asking, so what is your advice how to find a great team? For example, you're an AI engineer and there isn't a big community within that field in your local area. How to find people that are willing to collaborate, who are willing to consider creating something new or outsource for companies abroad?
I think that it's obviously a very specific niche, AI. I mean, also of course rapidly growing. But I think that the way that you can find collaborators or companies that you can work for is to actually go to like events and fairs where this is the main topic. A couple of years ago, I went, for example, to Web Summit in Lisbon, and there is like pretty much one entire hall of that like big fair. It's about AI, and there you're gonna find a lot of people that are thinking the same and wanting the same as what you do, and that's where you can then connect and meet with those people and perhaps even find a new job.
Thanks, Jan. We have a question from Nicolina. She's asking how to keep working remotely after Corona restrictions are loosened and you have an office to go back to.
How to keep working remotely?
Remotely after the Corona restrictions are loosened and you have an office to go back to.
Well, I mean, does the employer force you to go back to the office? Because I mean, I already told my people, you know, I don't know exactly. A couple of weeks ago, they asked me, when are we going back to the office? I said, well, I don't know. I don't know when it's really allowed to do that. But, you know, for me, it really doesn't matter. If you want to go back to the office the moment that we can, that's fine. If you want to stay home a little longer, that's also okay with me. Make your own decision there. We know the job that needs to be done, and you decide from where you want to do that. But I understand that not all companies have that kind of mindset. Some companies really are against working from home. I know even a couple of companies from Croatia that even during the lockdown, they simply demanded their people to come to the office. Not my way of doing it, but it happened.
Andre is asking, do you plan to scale your share globally, or prefer to dominate on local Balkan markets?
I very much like it here. So I think that if we can take a very dominant position in let's say the Adriatic region where we are operating from, that would be definitely the first thing that I would want to do. And I think it's very important that you are strong in your home market before you even consider going outside of that market. You cannot start expanding globally if your business is standing on shaky legs.
A question from Ivan. How good or bad is Croatian bureaucracy compared to Netherlands, especially for someone who doesn't speak Croatian?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the Netherlands, a lot of these kind of things are of course simplified. I mean, changing the address of your company. In the Netherlands, you do this online at the Chamber of Commerce. In Croatia, you need to go to the javni bilježnik, public notary office, bring your stamp, do all kinds of paperwork, and then it needs to be approved by a judge, you know. And it costs a lot more money in Croatia. So I mean, Croatia has huge steps to make in terms of bureaucracy. But luckily, actually already from the moment that I started the first company, I always had a very good lawyer, and I had a very good accounting office and a financial advisor. So whenever any of these kind of things needed to be done, I could rely on their knowledge. Again, just to surround yourself with good people that are smarter than you in these areas.
Yeah, I also think like part of being an entrepreneur is, you know, you learn how to skip obstacles, and, you know, you learn how to, you know, where to give your attention. For example, when I created my own company, you know, it was the same. It's a process you just need to go through, and it, you know, it doesn't make sense to give that process so much attention. I mean, you need to be focused on creating value in your business.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Dominic is asking, how can you know with yourself if you're meant to be an entrepreneur or a manager?
I don't know. I mean, I mean, if I look at myself, I always just wanted to create things for myself, not for somebody else's business. I wanted to create something for myself. And that was a feeling that I already knew that I wanted to have that from the moment that I was 12 years old. When I was 12 years old, I already knew that I wanted to start my own business, preferably as big as possible and preferably abroad. But these were my wishes already as a teenager. And some people are simply better managers. They're not entrepreneurial, or maybe they are entrepreneurial as a manager, but they would maybe not feel comfortable doing it by themselves, for themselves. I think it's a gut feeling.
Yeah, definitely. I'll share a book I read before I started my business to Dominic that might help him to see, you know, does he have characteristics that are needed to be a manager or an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Dominic, I'll reply you after this meetup with the link on Facebook. Do we have more questions? I think you replied to
pretty much everything.
Pretty much everything, yeah.
Okay.
It's almost hour and 10 minutes past. Well, thanks, Jan, for showing up on this event. It's great to hear, to see your optimism about Croatia. Because even most people in Croatia don't have it, and I think it's much needed, especially not nowadays when we are experiencing this crisis.
I agree with you. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you everybody for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Jan.
Yeah. All right. Have a great day.
Yes, you too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.